Is our national sport. Some people say it's our national religion. If I were going to build a football stadium, I would build one like the University of Phoenix Stadium in Glendale, Arizona.
The most exciting thing about a stadium is how much like a transformer it is.
For one thing, it has a retractable roof.
But also, there are so many bells and whistles. You thought I was one thing. Surprise!
To build your football stadium, you will need a concrete and steel structural framework, precast concrete seating sections, 2 3.6 million-pound roof trusses, roof panel frames, a retractable playing field, 140 motors, 71,000 hot dogs, and mustard. Total cost to build $455 million. Step 1. Start with the foundation of your stadium.
A stadium is huge, but it's not that much different from building your house. Once you know the math and the physics behind it, they apply to just about anything. Science works everywhere. That's why it's good.
You'll need somewhere for 71,000 fans to sit, and ideally have a good view of the field. Excavate 860,000 cubic yards of dirt to reach a depth of 32 feet. That's because the playing field, player areas, and locker rooms are built below ground level, so as not to interfere with spectator traffic. Then construct your stadium support structure and seating sections by pouring 100,000 cubic yards of concrete. Step 2. It's time to add shelter from that Arizona desert sun.
So a stadium bears loads just like a regular building. But unlike a regular building, you can't have a lot of beams to support the roof in the middle because that would obstruct the view, which is the whole reason why you go to a stadium, other than the hot dogs.
You have to design such that you know where the forces are going and how to direct them.
The University of Phoenix Stadium actually employs Brunel trusses. This is a kind of structure that really supports the stadium's roof using an arch that's formed of a lot of triangles to bear the load.
Let's examine the strength of triangles. Rectangles, when subjected to force, easily collapse into rhombuses. But a triangle distributes force down its sides and maintains its shape.
So take this triangle and start tilting it and trace where the tip is. And what shape does it make? An arch. So the strongest point of an arch is almost every point along its curve. And if you want to support that, just add more triangles.
Your trusses will be made of solid steel. Each will measure 700 feet long, 87 feet high, and 17 feet wide, and weigh 3.6 million pounds.
I can't even fathom how many donuts that is. Everything is measured to me in donuts, so it's a lot of donuts.
After constructing and connecting both of your trusses on the ground, install them on 4 171-foot tall, 17.5-foot wide super columns. Now you have a roof support structure, but there's still the matter of that 86,000 square foot hole to cover. Step 3. Install your massive retractable roof.
The University of Phoenix in Glendale, Arizona, it gets hot there. They can put a roof on and turn the AC on.
Ugh, only weak teams need a stadium cover. We don't have that at Giant Stadium. We don't need it. We welcome the elements. It makes us tougher.
To provide protection from sun and rain, cover your roof panels with a woven fiberglass fabric coated in Teflon called PTFE.
And it stands for polytetrafluoroethylene? Polytetrafluorethylene. Thylene.
Polytetrafluoroethylene.
I could never say that word.
Just take it one syllable at a time. PTFE is a great material because it's very lightweight and it's very durable, and it still allows some sunlight to come through.
Next, install a mechanism to move the roof back and forth.
So these roof panels are obviously massive. You need a lot of power to move them.
This is a 2.2 million pound roof. It's a lot of pounds.
So we have 64 7.5 horsepower motors that drive 16 cable drums. These cable drums are very powerful. Each of them provides 45,000 pounds of force that move those roof panels at 1/4 mile per hour. So it takes 12 minutes to completely open or close those roof panels. All these cable drums are synchronized with fiber optic cables to communicate with each other and make sure there's always even tension across all parts of the roof panels.
Don't start getting freaky anxiety about how many millions of pounds of roof are over your head. Just don't worry. Engineers took care of it. It's fine. They got it. They worked it out.
You have built yourself a first-class sports stadium with a retractable roof, but the roof doesn't let in enough sunlight for a real grass playing field.
Oh, that grass? Yeah, we can retract that and keep it outside to grow when we're not using it.
Step 4. Build a way to slide the entire field in and out of your stadium.
There are two great reasons to have a movable field. One is that you can get that field outside of the stadium to give it direct sunlight and maintain it easier. And then you also have this empty stadium you can now use for whatever other events you want to put on without worrying about damaging this pristine field.
Install 13 rails 1,146 feet long to move your playing field entirely out of your stadium.
With a field that heavy, sliding it's going to be no easy feat. You've got to find a way to reduce friction to get it out of the stadium. To help move that field, it sits on 542 wheels that are each 15 inches in diameter.
Drop that knowledge next time you go to a football game, especially if you don't know much about sports and you need something else to talk about.
Step 5. Install your real grass playing field.
The field sits in a giant tray, sort of like the world's biggest lasagna. The bottom layer is corrugated steel. On top of that, there's concrete and then a plastic drainage mat. Over that, there's 10 inches of dirt and sand, and then the very top, 2 inches of grass. Along with all that, there are also built-in drainage and sprinkler systems.
So what happens to the drainage and the sprinklers? They just kind of go with it. Sprinklers will travel.
With all layers in place, your 94,000 square foot playing field will weigh 18.9 million pounds. Weight does not include professional athletes and/or cheerleaders.
So mechanically, how do you get a football field from one place to the other? It sounds like a terrible riddle, but it's actually just math.
The movement of the field is controlled by 76 1-horsepower motors. And those might seem like they're not very powerful, but it's better to have a lot of smaller motors as opposed to a few large ones, because it distributes the load more evenly over the whole field, and it makes it less likely that those individual drive wheels are going to slip on their rails. It does take an hour, and it has to move 741 feet.
So how fast is it going? It's going about 741 feet an hour. So I did the math for you. You're welcome.
Step 6. It's time to add the final amenities. Construct 310 points of sale, 77 public restrooms. Be sure to have more women's than men's. 10 elevators, 18 escalators, 2 giant video screens. Then install 88 luxury suites with private bathrooms, television, and catering. Charge up to $125,000 per season for each suite. Finally, make arrangements to handle a crowd of up to 71,000 people inside the stadium. A bigger population than many entire towns.
So the ratio of bathrooms to people is like very scientific. Same with concessions.
If there's a lot of beer, you're going to need a lot of bathrooms. It's just a fact of life.
At least double the number of women's restrooms.
They tend to line up, so I don't know what goes on in there.
Think of the ladies. Think of our tiny little walnut bladders. We have to have stalls. We can't just... This is getting gross, I'm sorry.